from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast brought to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I am Bishan Virakon together with Sharon Mascarenas. Parliamentarians briefed over the 21st Constitutional Amendment. Prime Minister emphasizes a $6 million target for this year. Another round of talks with the IMF this week to obtain financial assistance. 50,000 LP gas cylinders to the market today, another 16,000 tomorrow. The Indian government agrees to provide fertilizer required for the yellow season. Debate on the supplementary estimate of 695 billion rupees will be taken up on the 8th. 4 civilians killed from a shooting incident that occurred in a hospital in the United States. Tickets for the Sri Lanka-Australia series will be issued from day after tomorrow. Now moving on to those and other stories in detail now. Now a meeting to brief parliamentarians of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna over the 21st Constitutional Amendment was held at the Parliamentary Complex this morning.
The meeting was chaired by the Ministers Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, Dinesh Gunawardena and Professor G.L. Peiris. The objective of this meeting was to resolve the issues pertaining to the constitutional amendment. The ruling party parliamentarians were given the opportunity to present views, opinions and suggestions related to the amendment during the meeting. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that several entities were in the stance of enacting this amendment, while several other MPs were in the stance that this draft bill should be studied further. The minister said that he has made all necessary submissions to the Cabinet of Ministers and the Cabinet is expected to reach a decision in this regard. Meanwhile, a dialogue to debate over the 21st Constitutional Amendment was held in Colombo yesterday. Legal experts, political party leaders and parliamentarians took part in this dialogue. Dr. Pratibha Mahanamaheva said that this amendment is expected to empower the Prime Minister with the powers vested with the President. He said that the empowered Prime Minister will introduce various committees in retaliation. He said that the Constitutional Council will be reintroduced through this amendment. He said there is no system change through this move.
බලතල අඩු වුණාට අපේ විදේශ සංචිත වැඩි වුණාද අපේ නායකයෝ නේම වැඩි වුණා එච්චරයි කවුරු හිටියත් මේ කාලේ තුලත් වෙන්නේ ඒකම තමයි මේකේ ඇති දෙයක් නැහැ ඇත්තටම මේකේ සර්වයිවල් ගේම් එකක් යන්නේ ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 21 පිළිබඳව මගේ කිසිම ප්‍රසාදයක් නැහැ මේ තියෙන පෝලිං ක්‍රමයවත් මේ ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයෙන් නම් ජීවිතේට ඉෂ්ට වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Opinions and views were shared over the proposed 21st Constitutional Amendment during the Samagi Jana Balavegaya media briefing held at the opposition leader's office. A media briefing of the civil organisation Collective was held in Colombo today. These organisations also shared their remarks over the proposed 21st Constitutional Amendment.
Meanwhile, the Litra Gas Company says another 16,000 LP gas cylinders will be distributed across the country tomorrow. Now, a total of 50,000 LP gas cylinders were issued to the market today. Now, residents in Colombo and Gampa districts were given priority in the LP gas distribution. Litra Gas Company has said that the unloading of 3,500 metric tons of LP gas from the ship was delayed due to the prevailing inclement weather condition. Subsequently, LP gas cylinders for domestic and commercial purposes were distributed from the Muthurajawala terminal. Accordingly, 30,000 LP gas cylinders were issued to the Colombo and Gampa districts, while 20,000 were issued to the rest of the districts in the country. Long queues were seen in front of LP gas outlets in many parts of the country from last night. LP gas stocks reached for the consumers in the Badula district today after several days, while long queues were seen in the Bandaragama area for LP gas for a long period of time. Meanwhile, a diesel shipment has arrived in the Colombo port and is currently in the process of unloading. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that by 8:30 this morning, the existing diesel reserve is at 18,825 metric tons. The Octane 92 petrol is at 33,498 metric tons and Octane 95 petrol is at 13,067 metric tons. Operations of the Sapukaskanda oil refinery have also resumed. The Ceylon Fisheries Harbours Corporation has requested the Fisheries Minister to take steps in providing fuel stocks required for fisheries harbours island-wide. Now, the request was made during a meeting held yesterday with the heads of affiliated institutions led by Fisheries Ministry Secretary. Attention was directed on the prevailing issues related to the issuance of fisheries products to the market as well as the high rates affiliated to products at present. National Aquaculture Development Authority has said that the industry producers have faced great difficulties due to the dollar shortage. Now, the first shipment of essential medicines provided under Chinese assistance is expected to arrive in the country tomorrow. Over 500,000 life-saving vaccines have also been included in the medical assistance extended by the Chinese government, the Chinese embassy in Colombo said in a tweet. Meanwhile, a 2-hour power interruption will occur tomorrow in relation to the power sharing management schedule. A decision has been reached not to interrupt power on the 5th.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Professor G.L. Peiris met with the Colombo-based diplomatic corps today at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The minister briefed them over the prevailing situation in the country and the pressing challenges encountered by the government, including the shortage of fuel, gas, essential pharmaceutical products and power cuts. Minister Professor G.L. Peiris outlined the Foreign Minister also detailed measures taken by the government to address the situation in this regard and called on the envoys to extend their fullest assistance at this time of need. In his address, he referred to the 21st Amendment to the Constitution that is before Parliament and outlined some of the key features of this important legislation. Minister Peiris expressed his appreciation to the diplomatic corps for their participation and requested the envoys to extend their support and goodwill during a particularly challenging phase in Sri Lanka's recent history. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Mahinda Siravardana, made a brief presentation and responded to the questions. Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Aruni Vijayawardena, was associated with the briefing.
Now, Sri Lanka is in talks with the International Monetary Fund to borrow at least $3 billion. Now, accordingly, Reuters news agency says that the financial assistance is expected to be borrowed from the Global Lending Agency's Extended Fund Facility. Now, Sri Lankan government expects another round of technical talks with the IMF in early June. Accordingly, Sri Lanka hopes to reach to a staff-level agreement as soon as the end of this month. Sri Lanka has requested a plan to overcome its worst economic crisis since independence in 1948. It defaulted on some overseas debt earlier this year and is struggling to pay for imports of basics such as fuel and medicine. An extended fund facility program requires countries to make structural economic reforms to correct deep-rooted weaknesses. The IMF said last week it was in talks with Sri Lanka for a comprehensive reform package, yet to specify the type of program that was being negotiated.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says a program with the target of acquiring $6 billion will be prepared this year. $5 billion will be allocated for loan repayments. A further $1 billion will be allocated to bolster the country's reserves. The Prime Minister emphasized further. The Prime Minister made these remarks during a meeting held with representatives from the Joint Chambers, Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association and Small and Medium-Scale Entrepreneurs Association today. Prime Minister has indicated that discussions with the International Monetary Fund are proceeding and the negotiations would conclude by the end of the month. The Prime Minister informed the representatives that the debt restructuring program has begun following the appointment of financial and legal advisors. He said that any bridging finance to help alleviate the crisis is dependent on an agreement with the IMF being reached. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe stated that talks were continuing with donor nations. He added that relations with Japan had broken down and it would take a while to repair those relations and regain their confidence. To address the medicine shortage, the Prime Minister said that former Maldives President Mohamed Nasheed has been appointed to coordinate with the international actors for urgently needed medical supplies. He further said that securing fertilizer and compiling a food security program have been given equal priority. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has agreed to provide the fertilizer required for the Yala season cultivation immediately.
Now, the fertilizer will be supplied under the Indian loan facility and it is scheduled to distribute within 20 days of receiving it in Sri Lanka. The President made these remarks at a discussion held at the President's House, Colombo, yesterday on the challenges facing the irrigation sector and possible solutions to those challenges. It was revealed at the discussion that the Umaoya and Moragahakanda projects could be completed before the end of this year to provide benefits for the Maha season. The Morana, Mahagalgamua feeder canal, the Mahagona Vava, Vilakandia Vava and Godigamu Vava projects are to be completed concurrently. President Rajapaksa instructed the relevant officials to take necessary measures to complete the foreign-funded projects within the stipulated time period. It was revealed that 80% of the total electricity generation in the past 3 days was supplied to the national grid by hydro and wind power. The President said that steps should be taken to enhance floating solar panel projects as well as to increase the benefits given for roof-mounted solar panels with the objective of encouraging consumers. Now, special attention was paid to the cultivation activities during the Yala season, and 50% of the lands under the Irrigation Department and the Mahavali Authority have already been cultivated. Minister Roshan Ranasinghe said that 250,000 Mahavali home gardens have been planned for the cultivation of additional crops, and lands that have not been cultivated so far have been diverted to cultivate other crops. President's Chief of Staff Anu Dissanayake was also present at the discussion. Now, water supply was facilitated from the Giritaya Reservoir for the paddy cultivation of the Yala season in the Polonnaruwa district yesterday.
7,600 acres of paddy fields are expected to cultivate under this campaign. Steps were taken to supply water from all reservoirs in Polonnaruwa district for the paddy cultivation during this Yala season. Farmers have been requested to utilize and preserve the water supply without any wastages. Irrigation Department in Polonnaruwa said that high benefits can be achieved from the cultivation of local paddy varieties, which has a high demand in market. Speaking at a joint media briefing held yesterday, several agrarian organizations in Anuradhapura district said that they are ready to engage in cultivation activities with the adequate supply of fertilizer. Therefore, they pointed out that this would be a solution for looming food shortage. Vavuniya District Secretariat has initiated a home gardening project in an attempt to face the impending food crisis. Accordingly, 27,516 home gardens in 505 villages belonging to 102 Gramaniladari divisions in the district will be initiated. Relevant technological knowledge and consultation services will be provided on a free of charge as per the Vavuniya District Secretary. Other crop cultivation projects are expected to be commenced in the future. A government retiree, Shanta Aryaratna from Miragama Halpe area, is maintaining a successful cultivation using organic fertilizer produced by him. He said that he has also started a beekeeping project in an effort to increase yields of his home garden. He's also extending training for other residents of the area.
Now, the debate on the supplementary estimate of 695 billion rupees will be taken up on the 8th of this month. Now, the decisions were taken at the Committee on Parliamentary Business chaired by Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena this morning. The debate on the supplementary estimate of 695 billion rupees, which is to be presented on the 7th by the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, will be taken up for debate on the 8th until 5:30 p.m. The Secretary General of Parliament, Dhammika Dasanayake, said. The Secretary General also said that the resolutions under Section 8 of the Appropriation Act No. 7 of 2020 are to be passed following the debate on the same day. Furthermore, regulations are, as mentioned in the Gazette Notification number 2274-42 dated on April 9, 2022, imposed under the Import and Export Control under the Local Treasury Bills Ordinance for the purpose of increasing the credit limit by 1 trillion rupees are to be passed without a debate on the 7th. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will then make a special statement on the current situation in the country, and the adjournment debate on the said statement will be held until 5:30 p.m.
Minister Susil Premajayantha says the GCE A-level examination scheduled to be held in the month of August is now expected to be conducted in October or November.
He made these remarks during a media briefing at the Government Information Department today. Minister Susil Premajayantha said that measures are being taken to hold the advanced level and scholarship examination in October and November. He added that the examinations will be scheduled after reviewing the completion of curriculums in each educational zones. He said that no decision has been made over the examination dates. However, he urged the students to make necessary preparations, expecting the examinations to be held in October. He said that schools will commence in December 2022 for the 2023 school terms to provide more learning period for the students. Accordingly, he added that necessary discussions are underway in this regard. The minister said that circulars pertaining to Grade 1 enrollments for the year 2023 will be released next week.
Now, a media conference to brief over the prevailing inclement weather condition and the emergency relief assistance and program was held today at the Government Information Department. Now, Director General of Disaster Management Centre, Major General Sudhanta Ranasinghe said that Ratnapura and Kaltara districts have been identified as the most affected areas. He said that a total of 20,338 individuals belonging to 5,357 families in 43 Divisional Secretariat divisions have been affected. He added that the relief teams from the Tri-Forces have been stationed as a response to an emergency situation with the prevailing weather condition. He also pointed out the risk associated with the dengue epidemic following the heavy rains. Therefore, he urged the people to keep their surroundings clean after floods are receded. Director General of National Building Research Organisation Asiri Karunawardena urged the people residing in landslide-prone areas and slopes in the Central Highlands and surrounding districts to be cautious of the prevailing situation. The Met Department has indicated that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 mm may occur in some places as well. Several spells of showers may occur in the Anuradhapura district. Strong winds about 40 km per hour can be expected at times in western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. The Met Department has requested the public to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Many villages including Radalla, Dimiyawa, Dambuluwana and Maraliya in Alapatha Divisional Secretariat Division in Ratnapura are still inundated due to flash floods.
Now, tickets for the Sri Lanka-Australia series will be issued day after tomorrow. Tickets can be obtained from the Sri Lanka Cricket Stadium and through online platforms of the Sri Lanka Cricket. Tickets can be purchased from the ticket counter established at the Sri Lanka Cricket. Tickets for all the matches to be played at the Pallekele International Stadium will be issued from the 8th. A separate ticket counter has been established at the stadium in this regard. The tickets for the test matches will be available from June 26th from the counter established at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. Tickets will also be available on www.srilankacricket.lk. Sri Lanka Cricket has said that tickets will not be issued on the scheduled dates for the matches. T20 matches and one-day international matches will be played as a day and night match. Australia is visiting Sri Lanka for a full series after 6 years. Vice President of Sri Lanka Cricket, Jayantha Dharmadasa, urged the fans to extend their fullest support for the players during the series. Can't wait for that action. Now on to the protests at GGG. Today is the 55th day of the people's protests in front of the Presidential Secretariat in Golface Green. Large crowds were seen at the protest site today as well as last night.
People, including youth from various parts of the country, demonstrated at the protest site while raising slogans. The protest site was also affected from the inclement weather condition that prevailed yesterday.
A video footage of Ravindu Vedarachi, son of MP Dilip Vedarachi, engaging in an altercation with the police at the Badigama Express interchange in Tangol is circulating in social media platforms. Sharing a statement over the incident, Ravindu Vedarachi has said that the altercation had occurred after they attempted to take a refrigerator mounted in the back of a cab and enter the expressway towards Colombo. During the altercation, Ravindu Vedarachi has claimed that the police officer had pulled him from his shirt and attempted to assault him. The video footage indicates that Ravindu Vedarachi and his spouse verbally abusing the police officers following the altercation while pulling out of the expressway entry point. Ravindu Vedarachi is a former mayor of Tangol. Police headquarters has said that the Veeraketia police has commenced investigations to arrest the couple for interfering on duty police officers. The police headquarters has requested the public to inform the Veeraketia police if they possess any information over the couple or the vehicle. The 43rd Brigade says that each parliamentarian has a responsibility to further strengthen and support the 21st Amendment.
Now, President of the 43rd Brigade, Karunaratne Paranavithana, said that no room will be left for any entity to defeat the new amendment. President of the 43rd Brigade, Karunaratne Paranavithana, said that the draft bill presented by Minister Rajapaksa should be further improved with new revisions. He added that the political parties and civil organizations, including the 43rd Brigade, are in the stance of further strengthening the draft bill and present it to the Parliament without much delay. Therefore, it is a responsibility of the parliamentarians to pass this bill in the Parliament.
Now here's more local news in brief. New Chief of Defence Staff General Shavindra Silva called on President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the President's house in Colombo today. Later, the new commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Vikum Lienage, also called on the President. It is customary for the Commander-in-Chief to meet the President after assuming duties in the relevant posts. An explosion had reported from a house in Nagathan area in Katapula, Alpitia this morning. A person has been injured from this incident. A series of programs were held at the Aranthala Sri Indrasara International Buddhist Centre today in remembrance of the 35th anniversary of the Aranthala Bhikkhu massacre. These programs were organised under the guidance of the chief incumbent, the Venerable Kirindivela Somaratana Thera. Another humanitarian relief assistance consignment donated by the Indian government of distributing among low-income earning families in Ginigathena Divisional Secretariat Division. That's a look at local news. When we come back, we'll bring you stories from the States.
හොඳමදේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
நாடு விட்டு நாடு சென்று நாளும் உழைத்த பணத்தை வீட்டுக்கு அனுப்பும் போது பரிசு குவியல்கள்.
நீங்கள் வெளிநாட்டிலிருந்து அனுப்பும் பணத்தினை மக்கள் வங்கிக்கு அனுப்பினால் பரிசு குவியல்கள். பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம். அனுப்புங்கள், வெல்லுங்கள்.
Welcome back. Now taking a look at your international stories for tonight, focusing on the United States of America, which has seen 4 people being killed in a shooting spree at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the police say. The officers confirmed that the suspected shooter, who was armed with a rifle and a handgun, was also dead. The police arrived at the scene yesterday afternoon at St. Francis Hospital in 3 minutes, which they say ensured the death toll wasn't higher. Multiple injuries had also been confirmed, officials added. The police further said the shooter, who has not yet been identified, sustained fatal gunshot wounds which were believed to have been self-inflicted. The suspect had 1 long gun and 1 handgun on the scene at the time, they also said.
UK military intelligence has said that Russia has taken control of most of Ukraine's industrial city, edging closer to claiming a big prize in the offensive in the eastern Donbas region. Ukraine says that about 70% of the city is under Russian control. The Russian forces have entered the center of and tried out or rather trying to take up positions in Ukrainian officials. A Russian missile hit rail lines in the western Lviv region, a key conduit for supplies of the Western weapons and other supplies in the Ukrainian officials. Lviv region governor said that 5 people were wounded in the strike. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry has said its military has downed a Ukrainian Su-25 fighter jet in the Mykolaiv region. It has said that it has struck command points of the Ukrainian forces near Kharkiv.
Welcome back. I'm taking a look at your sports stories for tonight. The Australian cricket team taking part in the T20 series against Sri Lanka arrived yesterday. The series is scheduled to commence on the 7th.
The first group of players of the Australian squad arrived in the country at 5 p.m. yesterday, while the other group arrived at 10:30 p.m. The T20 series includes 3 matches. The first 2 matches will be played at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo on the 7th and 8th, while the third match will be played on the 11th at Pallekele International Stadium.
Now, in the meantime, Lasith Malinga has been appointed as the strategy bowling coach of the limited overs tour here in Sri Lanka against Australia. Sri Lanka Cricket made a statement in this regard today.
Sri Lanka Cricket has said that this appointment has been made targeting the T20 and One-Day International Series against Australia. The objective is to support the young players of the side with the vast experience of Lasith Malinga in playing many international matches.
Well, that's a wrap of tonight's Primetime News Bulletin here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. And until we meet again next time, do take care, stay safe.